Hello and welcome to another AIC Productions video. Today, Lenovo has been so kind to send me another laptop to review. In this case, it's a ThinkBook 14. This laptop was sent to me by Lenovo, but they have not paid me for the review. My review will be my own. They do not screen these before I post them. But they're awesome in allowing me to review their laptops. So far, they're the only manufacturer I've been able to get in contact with who is willing to send me anything. So props to them for supporting small channels like myself. So I got this ThinkBook, and before I got it, I read a lot online. And it seems like a lot of the things I was reading online have been fairly negative about this computer. It being a cheaply made computer for the Indian market, things like that. And I haven't done much with it. I've done the one thing I do with every laptop I get when I first get it, which is open it up and look at the hardware. And just touching it, feeling it, opening it up, I do not feel like this is a cheap, sub-quality laptop. I just feel like it's you have the consumer line, you have the pro line, and then you have the prosumer line. And I feel like this falls under the prosumer line. You get that a lot with tools. If you go to Walmart, you get your consumer tools. If you go to something like Snap-on, those are your professional tools. But in the middle, you have your Makitas and Milwaukees and even the higher-end Harbor Freight tools that are more that, you know, meant for somebody who really uses their tools, but not necessarily in a professional environment, or somebody who is a professional but is just getting started and needs a more inexpensive tool, but that is better than the consumer line for sure, but not quite to the level of a pro system. The construction on this is all aluminum or metal. It looks really nice. It has the one thing, it doesn't have a track point. It has the more IdeaPad keyboard on there and trackpad, but it has other neat features like the fingerprint sensor in the power button. Now, I got this laptop, it was not charged when I got it, and haven't charged it powered on yet. All I've done so far is open up, look at it, and just kind of go over the hardware. It has a Core i5 with dedicated graphics card. This is a fairly inexpensive model, and those are pretty good specs for the price. Obviously, prices change all the time, so I'm not going to quote any prices. Let's turn it over and open it up. Now, I will say this. This is not really meant to be opened up. I can tell that because the screws that they use are those stupid T7 Torx, which if you are not careful will strip out, and these were Loctited in. They were not easy to get out and not ruin the screws. So if you're thinking of opening this, be warned, it's not hard per se, but those screws are a pain in the butt. So be prepared to replace those. I fortunately did not strip them, but I do have nightmares from when I used to work at a small company, and we had a bunch of Dell XPSs that had a similar type screw. I think they were T5s, and the screws were just made out of butter, and if you looked at them weird, they would strip out. These ones did not strip out. They do feel like a higher grade of metal than the ones I'm used to, but it seems like a lot more manufacturers are going that way. Supposedly the Torx bits are stronger than like a Phillips, but when they are just this tiny, there isn't a lot of meat on the screw heads for them to grab hold of, and I feel like they strip out very easily. So here's the hardware. First thing you'll notice, at least that I noticed, is this is the SSD. It is teeny tiny. It's like a half-height SSD, but it does have the room for a full slot here. So you can have a full-height SSD here. This unscrews and the screw moves to here, and you can have a full-size SSD here with no issues. I believe this is a 500 gig SSD. Again, I haven't powered this laptop on yet, but yeah. It has pretty decent-sized speakers, so I'm hopeful for the sound quality of this laptop. We'll see how that goes, because that's one of my biggest complaints with their ThinkPad line, is that it has terrible sound quality. The other thing you'll notice is you don't immediately see the RAM slots. That's because there's one RAM slot on this laptop, and it is under this, oh come on, little metal cover. I'm not quite sure why it has this shield on there. I don't know if it's for heat shielding or because it is pretty close to the graphics and the CPU, or CPU and graphics, but it does clip into place. It's kind of a pain to get clipped back in, so I won't do that on camera because I have to be up close to see. But it does cover the RAM, and the RAM is upgradable with this one slot. This particular one comes with an 8 gig DIMM, but being that it's DDR4, the 16 gig DIMMs are not very expensive and readily available and easily upgraded. I personally would not purchase an upgraded memory on this system through Lenovo. It's worth buying it after market, and then you can sell your 8 gig DIMM and then or repurpose that in a different machine if you have multiple machines. So I would not buy the upgrade through Lenovo. If you want more than 8 gigs, I would just go ahead and upgrade yourself. So that being said, nice big battery. It is replaceable. Obviously, you can unplug it and replace it. You do have to take that back cover off, which is kind of a pain. So at this point, what I'm going to be doing is reassembling this laptop and doing a proper review of it. I just wanted to show the hardware, that you can upgrade the memory, you can upgrade the storage. Obviously anymore, your graphics and your CPU are going to be soldered to the system board. That's been like that for forever. You can swap out your wireless card. They've started to solder those on now as well. This one is replaceable. That I don't know if this has a whitelist on it that prevents you from using alternative wireless cards. I don't have any other wireless cards to test with, so it might be something I get in the future, but this time I can't test a different model of wireless card. Anyways, if you have any questions, this will be the end of this video. If you have any questions about this laptop, feel free to leave those in the comment section down below, and I will do my best to answer those in my next video. I've already gotten some questions on the subreddit, the Lenovo subreddit, but if you have any questions between now and my next video, I'll do my best to answer those for you. I'm really excited to review this laptop because I've had a few laptops in my hands from Lenovo, the X390, which I wouldn't recommend, and the T490S, which I would recommend over the X390, but I'm excited to try this one out as well as kind of that middle ground, because this does come in quite a bit cheaper than both of those laptops, even though it has a dedicated graphics card and basically the same CPU. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.